Alright, let's continue working on rational equations. And let's solve for m. But before we even get started, what I'll do is that I will factor all denominators that I can. And of course, m minus 5 and m plus 1, I can do anything about that. They're already fully factored. But over here, I have a trinomial, m squared minus 4m minus 5, and I can actually factor that. Put an m here, another m over there, and we're looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 5 and add up to negative 4. Those would be negative 5 and positive 1. Okay, and now let's look for, oh, these are ugly m's, I'm sorry about that. Anyways, so we're looking for restricted values for m. And what are restricted values in this case? Well, whatever would make the bottom of the fraction or the denominator equal to 0 is just not allowed. Those would be restricted values in this case. And over here, m minus 5 cannot equal 0, so m just cannot be equal to 5, because 5 minus 5 would be 0. So that is a restricted value. Over there, m plus 1 cannot equal 0, so m cannot be equal to negative 1. That is the restricted value, since negative 1 plus 1 would be 0. And over here, we have m minus 5 and m plus 1, just like in these denominators. So they would provide us with the same restricted values. So those are all our restricted values for now, just 5 and negative 1. So how do we continue with this question? Well, what I'll do is that I will multiply both sides of the equation. I'll just draw some square brackets here to make things nice and clean. And I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by just the least common denominator, which would be m minus 5 times m plus 1. So multiply this side as well, m minus 5 times m plus 1. Whoops. And okay, so let's distribute that over here. We multiply by 1. So we're multiplying both these elements by 1. Sorry that it got kind of messy. So once we do that, we're only going to obtain m minus 5 times m plus 1 all over m minus 5. And over here, I'm going to distribute the m minus 5 times m plus 1 over here and over there. So now 3 times these elements would give us 3 times m minus 5 times m plus 1 all over m plus 1, and subtract m times these elements, and we're going to have m times m minus 5 times m plus 1 all over m minus 5 times m plus 1. Wow, long question. So over here, I can cancel out the m minus 5 and the m minus 5. Over on this side, m plus 1 and m plus 1 also cancel out. And finally, m minus 5 and m minus 5 also go away. So we are left with m plus 1 on the left side of the equal sign equals 3 times m minus 5. So I will distribute the 3. 3 times m, 3m, 3 times negative 5, negative 15. And over here on this side, I'm left with negative m times, oh, actually I didn't notice that these guys also cancel out. M plus 1 over m plus 1, they just go away. So we're actually only left with an m, just minus m. So that just doesn't exist over here. Whoops. Anyways, let's continue. So we have m plus 1 equals now 3m minus m, that's just 2m, minus 15. Now I can subtract 2m from both sides of the equation. Those guys go away. M minus 2m is negative m, plus 1 is equal to negative 15. And then finally you can subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. Those guys go away. And negative m will be equal to negative 15 minus 1, negative 16. So over here, negative m is equal to negative 16. I can divide both sides by negative 1. So m is equal to just negative 16 over negative 1, which is 16. Great. So now looking back at our restricted values, 16 is not equal to any one of our restricted values, so it's a good answer. M is equal to 16, and we're done.